what we want to do is we want to discover the last step. So in order for us to create our future, we have to be sure that the goal is stated SMART. Then we'll ask the client, based on that, what is the last thing that has to happen so you know you've got it? Sue, how do you know you're going on holidays?
When I'm there.
When you're there. Good. So where was the last place you went to?
St. Lucia.
How did you know you were there?
I was sitting on the beach and drinking cocktails and being waited on hand and foot.
Good. So that's the last step, isn't it? Yep. Good. So you want to get the very last step, and that becomes the internal representation. Now, if you thought about that all the time, would you be happy? Look at it straight away. So that's the last step. So then what we want to do is we want to get that last step, and I'll demonstrate this in a moment, and we want to make an internal representation. NLP communication model. Has to have a picture. What does that look like?
Lovely. Do you want an actual description?
Yeah, just describe it to me.
Really nice beach, turquoise waters,
And the sounds, what are the sounds there?
the sea
Mm-hmm.
on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
laughter.
Mm-hmm. And the sun's there. How does it feel? Good. That cocktail in your hand, how does it feel?
Cold.
Cold. Interesting, we've got cold here, sun here, lapping. And does she look like she's there already? Yeah. Just go a little bit redder for us. Excess the sunburn. And then step 4. We want to associate the client. So I just want you to close your eyes, Sue, and I want you to step right inside of that internal representation. Cocktails there in your hand. The waves are lapping on the beach. You can feel the sun coming down, the turquoise water being served on hand and foot. Just notice the feelings. Are you there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now I just want you to adjust those submodalities for the most positive and real feeling. And if that feeling's a 4, turn it up to a 5. If it's a 6, turn it up to a 7. Just let it spread out through the body. Is that feeling better? Good. Excellent. Now, I want you to step outside of that internal representation, just leaving your body in the picture. So you can see yourself there on the beach of St. Lucia. How's that now that you can see yourself there? Good. Open your eyes. Good job. So we want to use the submodality checklist, if you like. If you want to make the pictures brighter, location, etc., you can use your submodality checklist to bring this to life. And then what happens is when we associate the client into it, now they're in control of those submodalities. So you're feeling it, and then you step out, and what happens is when you step out and you see your body in the picture, your unconscious mind knows that's you. Why do people not get their goals? Because they're in the car and they're driving the Ferrari, and that stays in their mind. But you don't always know if you're driving that Ferrari that that's you in the car. How do you know it's you in the car? You need to dissociate and see yourself in the car, or you'll end up getting the goal for somebody else, like me. Leave my body in the picture. So the unconscious mind must see you in there. So number 6, you'll step out. Number 7, you'll take the internal representation and you'll float above now. So you'll float up above the timeline. Then you'll energize the internal representation with 4 deep breaths. These are ha breaths. Hawaii. Do you know what the ha is? Ha is the breath of life. We have to breathe into this internal representation. What do you have without breath? Nothing. Breath is life, isn't it? So you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Is that life? Is that the intensity you want to go into life with, or do you want more? Show me that level of intensity that you want. And you breathe, bring it to life. This is where your behavioural flexibility comes in. If you get here and go, okay, client, I want you to breathe in through your nose, and I want you to breathe your life force energy into this internal representation. And you'll say 1, 2, 3 in through your nose. Is that intense? Is that life? So you have to take them on the journey. So this is where your behavioural flexibility comes in. If your client's energy is at a 7 and you want them to a 10, you need to be at a 13. So in through the nose. And what will they do? They'll do it like this. Because you give them permission. Did you know that? By you being out there succeeding, it gives them permission. When you can have a bit of fun, when you can laugh at yourself, when you can tell some silly stories, what do you think happens to them? It gives me permission to be relaxing. Yeah, I've been vulnerable, tell you a couple of little funny stories about my wife saying, does it have to be with you? Tell them stories. Guys, it's just a metaphor. Of course she's going to say me. Like that story. Yes. So give them permission. So you'll energize it. Then you'll float out into the future, taking the internal representation, and you'll float above the timeline out in the future. Number 10, you'll insert the internal representation into the timeline. Let go of the internal representation and let it float right down into the timeline. Then you'll make a suggestion. Number 11, notice the events between then and now reevaluate themselves to support your goal. The client may or may not have an experience of the reevaluation, so we call it out to their attention. Notice what begins to change from then all the way back to now based on that new goal. Oh, wow, I'm taking action, all of this. If they're saying that, it becomes auto-suggestion. Good. Float back to now. And they'll love it. So, would you like to see this in practice?
Yeah.
2 people? Would you like to see this in practice?
Yes.
Okay, Sue, come on up. Would you like me to record this for you so you know what to do later on?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of pizzazz in it. Do you know what pizzazz is? Neither do I. It just sounded really cool. So pizzazz is bringing it to life. Your clients need a little bit of theatre. Your Tolson Institute coaches, you're going to bring this to life. Because NLP, timeline therapy, is your art form, isn't it? This is how you get to express yourself. Okay. So with the client, we want to be sure the goal is stated so it's smart. So, you want to go back to St. Lucia? Okay. So, when would you like to go back there?
December the 23rd.
December 23rd. So what we will do is say, it is now December 23rd, what year?
This year, 2017.
2017. And I am now, were you laying or sitting on the beach?
Everything, really.
Hmm.
Yeah, lying on
That
the beach.
one specific one where you had the cocktail in your hand.
Yeah, lying on the beach.
I am now lying on the beach in St. Lucia.
Yep.
Good. What were you doing?
Sunbathing.
Sunbathing. Excellent. Good. So it is now the 23rd of December 2017 and I'm now lying on the beach in St. Lucia sunbathing. Can a 6-year-old understand that? Good. Is it realistic? Does St. Lucia exist?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just to make sure. So we want to make sure that the goal is stated so it's smart. Now, what's the very last thing? What has to happen so that you know you're there on the beach in St. Lucia? Is it the cocktail in the hand? Is it the sound of the waves lapping? Is that what it is? How do you know you're there in St. Lucia?
Hearing the sea and feeling the sand under my feet.
Hearing the sea
Yeah.
and feeling the sand under your feet.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go ahead and make an internal representation of what that looks like. And just describe to me what that looks like.
So, Golden Beach, turquoise sea,
Golden beach, turquoise sea.
Yep.
What else?
white loungers with big, thick, comfy cushions on them, and white towels.
And what are the sounds that are important?
Laughing.
Mm-hmm. Who's
the noise-
laughing?
Everybody around.
Good.
The sea crashing on the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Birds singing. People coming over asking if you want anything.
I want you to go ahead and step inside of that internal representation. Go ahead and close your eyes and step right inside that internal representation. There on the beach in St. Lucia, laying down, waves lapping on the floor, people laughing all around you. And I want you to be there right now, floating right inside of your body. I just want you to take that picture and I want you to make it bigger than life. So it's for the most real feeling. And just adjust those colours for the most real feeling. And those sounds, just adjust those sounds all around you for the most real feeling. And that feeling, out of 10, what is it? 10? Good. I want you to double the size of that feeling. I want you to triple the size of that feeling. And I want you to make that feeling bigger than your house. Can you do that?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Amazing.
I want you to stretch it out and make it bigger than the UK. A big feeling. How's that? Excellent. Now what I want you to do is I want you to step outside of that internal representation, leaving your body in the picture there on the beach in St. Lucia. Now I want you to take that internal representation. I'd like you to float right up above now. Floating right up above your timeline, right up above now. And I'd like you to take the internal representation right above now. And I want you to bring it to life with 4 deep, hard breaths. So I want you to breathe in through your nose and all of your life force energy into that internal representation. Excellent, good. 2, in through the nose. More intensity. All of your life force energy. 3. And make this a big one. And now taking that internal representation and floating above the timeline out into the future. And I want you to float all the way out into the future, all the way out to the 23rd of December 2017. All the way out there above your timeline. And then I want you to let go of that internal representation and let it float right down into your timeline, all the way out to December 23, 2017. And as it meets the timeline, I want you to begin to notice all the events between then and now reevaluate themselves to support your goal. And as it starts to reevaluate itself, I want you to point out those things that are changing from then all the way back to now.
I see myself being a lot more productive.
More productive. Excellent.
Spending a lot more time in my office rather than around the house doing other things.
Excellent. What else?
There's lists everywhere.
Excellent.
Lists that are completed rather than just lists.
Excellent. Anything else?
Bank balance is looking healthier. Holidays paid for.
Anything else?
Just feeling really confident, positive.
Excellent. And as you're feeling positive and confident, I want you to float all the way back to now, all the way back to now, all the way back into Manchester, all the way back into the room, all the way back to now. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. Wow. You're on the beach, that's why. It's the cocktail.
Yeah,
Cool? How did that feel?
amazing.
Does she look different?
Yeah, sounds and physiology.
I can feel the colour. Yeah.
You're sunburned.
Progress.
Wear sunscreen. So this is how you You should have told me. We can do that one next time. We can do that for 2018. So you're going to bring it to life. You're going to put a bit of pizzazz to it. Make it exciting for your client. Give them an experience. It takes a bit of practice. You've got the video, you can watch it. This creates a future memory. A future memory has a picture, a sound, a feeling. If you want, you can put self-talk. The taste of the cocktail was there for sure. And I'm sure there was smells as well. It's real. Now, when you leave the body in the picture, the unconscious mind constantly looks at it, but because of the way we set the goal, it's already happening. So the unconscious mind will look out in the future and say, this is already happening. Then she told us all the things that will change, which are suggestions to the unconscious mind. Feels good, doesn't it?
Amazing.
Feels good. We didn't do that at Eat That Frog, did we?
No, we didn't.
So what you have now is you have the structure to create a specific goal, but you'll chunk it down with Eat That Frog for your clients and get really specific, and then you'll insert these goals into the timeline. How many future goals do you think you can put out there? As many as you want. Imagine from now to the end of time, you had all these goals just happening one after another. And you look out there every day, and there's things to live for, Charisse. Won't that be different? Absolutely. Good job. Would you like to give that a go?